Soviet Russia is making futile attempts to establish the Bolsheviks regime in Spain. The German government supports the brave volunteers who gallantly resist the puppet government of the Spanish Republicans. Following the call of their valiant hearts, many Germans volunteered to fight alongside the Spanish rebels.
General Halder, I came upon your orders, sir.
Halder, as you know, our new divisions formed with volunteers are about to be sent to Spain. Germany needs an experienced commander who would lead them to victory.
I believe any officer should be gallant and put Germany above all else.
Well, maybe someone comes to mind. This assignment will certainly open new career prospects.
I'm convinced the officer's honor should always be the main motive, not the career ladder.
That is exactly what I have been looking for. Halder, I like your approach. I know you're a very talented and gallant officer. If you had asked me, I would have sent you personally to put things in order there. Yet I cannot order you in this case.
Herr Goering, please allow me to lead our forces. I will depart for Spain immediately.
The German government is highly grateful to you for this act of bravery.
Hermann, just look at this endless list of candidates for the new Army Chief of Staff. There's not one halfway decent person in it.
I know your resentment of the Army High Command is justified, Adolf. However, what you could do is call upon your most loyal officers and ask which one commands their respect.
Democratic elections in the Wehrmacht. That is certainly something new.
As we say, one people, one Reich, one Führer. Yet it might be wise to discuss the assignment with the commanding officers, my Führer.
Who would you suggest as the best candidate for the Army Chief of Staff position?
In my opinion, it's Franz Halder. His operational actions in Madrid speak louder than words.
Franz Halder is the best candidate, my Führer. He is a brilliant strategist.
I think it should be Franz Halder. His military vision and talents can be of great service to our country.
I can recommend Halder, my Führer. Or myself.
You can go, Manstein. The majority sees as the Army Chief of Staff a man who is afraid of starting a war.
So what? All strategic decisions are yours only, Adolf. He is a loyal commander who is highly respected. You need but an instrument to carry out your will. If you assign Halder, you will win over the entire Army High Command.
All political ways of resolving the situation at the eastern border peacefully were exhausted. Thus, I have signed the Directive 1. I order to begin the offensive operation against Poland on the 1st of September.
Herr Führer, in case of military intervention in Poland, we will come under a very serious threat of an attack by Russian forces. I am sure that the Reich is not ready to fight two enemies at once.
Calm down, Halder. Ribbentrop has just signed the non-aggression pact with our Soviet comrades, which outlines the spheres of interest and confirms our mutual decision about the partition of Poland. As the Commander-in-Chief, I am sure it is best for us to be allies and trade partners with Soviet Russia, not enemies.
I have heard you say that you were not stupid enough to enter the war for the sake of Danzig.
Stop, Halder. How much longer should we tolerate the endless humiliation of the German nation? The German army is bound to protect our people, even those living in the territories controlled by Poland. This is your duty as a Wehrmacht officer. The council meeting is adjourned. Begin the implementation of the Plan Weiss.
Deputies,
Men of the German Reichstag, for months, we have been suffering under the torture of a problem which the Versailles Diktat created. A problem which has deteriorated until it has become intolerable for us. Danzig was and is a German city. The corridor was and is German. Both these territories owe their cultural development exclusively to the German people. I have also tried to solve the problem of Danzig, the corridor, and all the rest by proposing a peaceful solution. Yet I am wrongly judged if my love of peace and my patience are mistaken for weakness or even cowardice. Tonight, for the first time, Polish regular soldiers have fired on our territory. Since 5:45 a.m., we have been returning the fire, and from now on, bombs will be met by bombs. Whoever fights with poison gas will be fought with poison gas. Whoever departs from the rules of humane warfare can only expect we shall do the same. I will continue this struggle, no matter against whom, until the safety of the Reich and its rights are secured. Alda, did our tank divisions leave Brest on schedule? According to the pact, this city is in the Soviet sphere of interests.
Unfortunately, we do not have enough time to evacuate all the damaged tanks and heavy machinery. I ask your permission to extend the evacuation.
We cannot endanger our agreement with the Soviets. I order you to complete the evacuation by tomorrow evening. If we cannot evacuate anything on time, just leave it. Tell Guderian this order is absolute.
Comrade Krivoshay, I have a request.
You have my attention, General.
I have an order to immediately evacuate my forces, but we require more time to carry it out. Can I ask you for your cooperation in this matter?
Let me get this straight. If you want to get hold of the trophies, I will not allow it.
I am not talking about trophies. We have to evacuate our own tanks, damaged during the battle.
You are a true commander if you're going out of your way for your troops. Agreed. I will give you a few more days. We can even help you out by providing artillery trucks.
You have my sincere gratitude. I'm happy to fight alongside such true comrades.
It is a mutual feeling, Heinz. I think this is how true brothers in arms should help each other.
Oh, and one more thing. This decision is not approved by both my and your superiors. I hope that we can manage it here without bothering them, right?
Surely we can. We in Russia have a saying, the less you know, the better you sleep.
Indeed. Let's make sure the High Command sleeps well, while we get down to business here.
To ensure the unhampered supply of Swedish iron ore for the Reich, we have to occupy Norway.
We have already started the planning of operation together with Admiral Dönitz. This time we require the support of our Navy.
The Kriegsmarine will cover the landing of our ground forces. However, I will have to point out that we would have to occupy Denmark as well to carry out this operation, Herr Führer.
We have a non-aggression pact with Denmark. It will allow us to invade it without much of a struggle. Halda, include the occupation of Denmark into the operation plan.
My Führer, there is a threat of the British Navy arriving to defend Norway. If that happens, they will have a numeric advantage and can cause us serious problems.
We have information that the British plan to conduct the landing operation soon, to establish control over the key ports in Norway.
Brits are slow to react. Their political leadership is unable to make a single decisive step. Thus, we will outdo them and land in Norway first. Halde, Dönitz, I order you to start Operation Weserübung.
Yes, sir.
General Halder, I have an idea about Fallgelb and Fallrot. I would like to share my thoughts with you.
Thank you, General Manstein, but the plans have already been developed. Tomorrow I will present them to Hitler.
You cannot be serious. This strategy is just a simple duplicate of our Schlieffen plan from 1914.
This plan has already proven its effectiveness.
The enemy is well prepared for exactly this type of scenario. We have to act in a more unpredictable manner, making a totally unexpected strike with our tank forces from the Ardennes.
Finally, our tanks will get to show their full potential. I like your plan, Erich.
Hold your horses, Heinz. Please explain exactly what are you suggesting, Manstein?
The key idea of my plan is that our main force should attack from the Ardennes. After crossing the river, our tank forces will swiftly advance through the enemy's rear, cutting it off and encircling the bulk of his troops.
No, Manstein, I consider your fantasies too risky. My plan remains unchanged, and I will present it to Hitler.
Halder, you forced me to go to Hitler and express my suggestions to him personally.
I trust that you will not make such a stupid mistake, Manstein.
I reject your plan, Halde. I have a better strategy. I have created a new plan by reworking some of Manstein's ideas.
Hardly anyone can doubt the strategic talents of our Commander-in-Chief.
I was fortunate enough to have a look at the plan of our Führer. I can only say this is the plan of a true strategic genius.
My plan is built around a massive invasion through the Ardennes. We will use the Blitzkrieg strategy to gain swift victory over Belgium, Holland, and France. This is the moment for the Luftwaffe to smite our enemies from the sky.
Have no doubts, my Führer. Our gallant Air Force under my command will crush the enemy and bring a quick victory to the Reich.
I will send my directives to the headquarters. You are dismissed.
Manstein, you have outsmarted yourself. The Führer not only listened to your plan, but also considers it his own now. If you are such a swift and sharp man, I have a gift for you. You are hereby appointed the commander of an infantry division, which will advance in the third echelon, after the tanks of Guderian and the infantry of Rommel.
Yes, sir.
As I stated before, our goal in this war is to crush France and bring England to its knees. The first half is now successfully accomplished. We have forced the French to bring the very same wagon to the Compiègne forest and repay them for their humiliating Treaty of Versailles.
The capitulation of France provides us with a springboard for aerial and naval warfare against Great Britain.
Overall, the Army High Command did well with the implementation of my plan. Nonetheless, it must be said that the decisive contribution was made by the Luftwaffe, and personally by its Supreme Commander, Hermann Goering. I have great news for you all. To express my gratitude and appreciation to my loyal comrade for his diligent service and outstanding achievements, I have introduced a unique, special rank. Hermann, enter. Reichsmarshal of the Great German Reich, Hermann Goering.
I have to admit, the new color suits Goering really well.
His uniform is pretty indeed, but I think he should get rid of a few kilos for it to have a proper look. Or rather, a few dozen.
Have you seen him eyeing his baton with such craving? I wonder, will he always carry it around now?
The Fuhrer could have noted not only Goering's contribution. After all, each of us has made a significant input in this operation.
Yes, Guderian, we did not get the rewards, but what matters is that we served the German people. This is our sacred duty.
Hitler may undervalue our efforts, but what matters the most is that we can make Germany great again. Your strategic talent, Manstein, and your swift tactical moves, Guderian, will be instrumental in this undertaking.
Indeed. My tanks are swift, and they only gain speed.
Great. Heinz, Erich, I understand that you expected to hear some words of appreciation from the Führer. I am deeply convinced that your heroic actions during the French campaign deserve the highest praise. I'm sure the time will tell who is right.
My tanks and troops have been forced to be idle for the last 2 days. We could have made a decisive attack and forced the French and British troops to surrender. How long will we be sitting here doing nothing?
I agree, Heinz. We could have finished off the encircled enemy troops were it not for the Führer's order forbidding any attack. I am completely at a loss as to why he would issue such an order.
If there are no new orders by tomorrow, mark my word, I will seize the initiative and act on my own. In the end, the main factor of our recent success in France is that we did not ask the High Command for each and every step.
Hold on, Guderian. Maybe we lack some important information. There must be a reason for Halder's lack of action. I will fly to Berlin and probe the situation. I will talk to Halder and try to convince him to issue an order to attack. I will contact you again today.
I'm no less angry than our field commanders about this delay, Rommel. The plan of further offensive lies on Hitler's table and must be acted upon. Yet the Führer is silent. No confirmation up to now.
We offered them a peace treaty, but those wretched Brits have refused to sign it. They have ruined all of my plans, and we wasted very valuable time. Well, they have issued a death sentence to their soldiers themselves. Halder, I order you to immediately change your plan of attack so that the Luftwaffe will have a major role. We cannot allow the British Expeditionary Corps to escape from France.
I can assure you, my Fuhrer, that we will crush the enemy air force and not allow the transport ships with troops to reach Britain. The goal of our Luftwaffe is to establish air superiority, first over the English Channel, and then over the whole of Britain.
Excellent. Halder, I order you to proceed with the offensive immediately. I will not allow you to stall the offensive for a single day more. Hermann, I am extremely unhappy with Luftwaffe's failure at Dunkirk. How could you bring us such a disgrace?
I do not consider our Air Force's actions a disgrace, Adolf. The enemy had us severely outnumbered, and their planes were newer models.
I do not want to hear any excuses. I just want to be sure that I can count on my Luftwaffe, and their commander will not let me down.
I had to withdraw our aircraft to save them for the decisive blow against Britain. Trust me, Adolf, this decision was a tough one for me. I'm still very upset about it.
Hermann, this time you are forgiven. Only because you are my friend.
My Führer, I'm doing everything I can for the Reich. Hello, Franz. Relax. I've just come for a short chat. I just want to talk to you without all these formalities.
I must say that your visit has come as a surprise to me.
I guess I will have to visit you more often then. In the Führer's name, and from myself as well, let me express our gratitude for the successful invasion of Dunkirk. If only the Luftwaffe did as great as your troops did.
Herr Goering, despite all the difficulties, I consider your decision to withdraw our aircraft reasonable. I do not think anyone can criticize you for that.
Yet it created additional complications for your forces.
We have succeeded. Thus you have nothing to worry about. The main thing is that our planes survived and can be employed in future operations.
Your unwavering resolve and strategic genius are staggering, Halder. If only the Führer had your wisdom. I think it is only reasonable that he expresses his annoyance, is it not?
Well, that is what a commander-in-chief is needed for.
Halder, you were absolutely right when you tried to persuade Hitler to attack Dunkirk immediately instead of fantasizing about the peace negotiations with Britain, losing precious time. In the 4 years of his rule, the Führer had not made a single mistake. Is it possible that he is losing his grip?
I sincerely hope you're wrong.
We have once again offered them peace, but they refused. Well, in this case, we will make sure those snobs get what they deserve.
They asked for it. There can be no more pity for our enemies.
The Air Force must destroy London, level it to the ground. We will bring those disobedient Brits to their knees. I hope I can count on you, Hermann.
I assure you, Adolf, our air forces will perform beyond question. We are going to bomb their factories and airfields. We will crush them both in the air and on the ground. The Operation Eagle attack is a true masterpiece of military art, my Führer.
Glad to hear it. I hope this time you will not let me down, Hermann. So far, due to the successful actions of the Luftwaffe under the impeccable command of Reichsmarschall Goering, Britain has suffered a devastating blow. Now we only have to finish it off. Very soon, the British Empire will finally cease to exist.
I cannot agree with you, Herr Führer. In my opinion, even the total occupation of the island of Great Britain will not undermine the military power of the British Empire, spread around the whole globe.
So what do you suggest, Halder? To call off the operation, fearing the might of our enemy? Yes, it is the only serious opponent in Western Europe left undefeated. Yet its defeat is imminent. The Wehrmacht is an indomitable force, which knows no fear and no mercy. Manstein, I order you to develop and implement the landing operation plan. What can you suggest in terms of tactics?
I think our troops should cross the English Channel and land both to the north and south of London to encircle the enemy troops in and around it.
I like your ideas. Dönitz, I order you to help with the Operation Sea Lion planning.
At once, Herr Führer. It will be a combined effort of mine as well as General Manstein. The landing of our troops and the Navy's actions will be synchronized.
Halder, I order you to find a way to undermine the British military might, if it bothers you so much. I suggest you work hard.
Have no doubt, I will find a solution. It is, Oberst. You have asked for a meeting with me for quite a while. I reckon you have some sort of personal request? You have my attention.
Thank you. I have a message for you.
A message? From whom?
It is better not to say his name. At this time, it could be quite dangerous.
So what is that dangerous thing you want to tell me?
Herr Halder, can I sit? Before I begin, can I be sure that the content of our talk will not leave these walls?
You can. Why are you so nervous? Are you planning some sort of sinister plot?
Herr Halder, we all know you as a man who would never come to terms with injustice. Reasonable people cannot ignore recent events. The whole power is concentrated in the hands of one man. Germany has entered the war. One reckless decision comes after another. Sooner or later, this is bound to bring us a catastrophe. We cannot allow it. Thus, Herr Halder, we offer you to join the resistance and become a key figure in it, for the sake of a bright future of the German people.
Oberst, you're lucky you have come to me. I will just try to forget this conversation as if it never happened.
I am but a messenger. Herr Halder, the members of the resistance are counting on you.
The moment our Führer has left Berlin, the rats started pouring out of every hole. I cannot even fathom such treachery. Even if I am not in accord with the highest authorities, as a Prussian officer, I will never succumb to such indecency as plotting.
Herr Halder, I can understand your indignation. If you change your mind, I will get you acquainted with the rest of the members. You will find many familiar faces among them.
Oberst, please leave immediately if you do not want to deal with the Gestapo. Do not try my patience.
Long live our sacred Germany.
Connect me to the head of the Abwehr. Hello, Canaries. This is Halder. I have a request, Wilhelm. Looks like there are some people in my headquarters planning a conspiracy against Hitler. I do not want to get the Gestapo involved, as they would just arrest and torture half of my officers to death. Thus, I would like you to figure out who's behind this plot and let me know so I can talk some sense into these wannabe plotters. Thank you.
I met with Halder. He refused the proposal. Then he called Canaris and asked him to investigate.
I expected something of this sort. Keep working according to the plan.
Yes, sir.
I order our tanks to retreat. We will use 88mm flak guns to make an ambush for the enemy armored troops.
Yes, sir.
Inform the Führer that the storming of Tobruk is delayed.
Despite capturing the British islands, the Empire still holds and continues to pester us.
This is exactly what I was warning you about. They command a powerful fleet in the Mediterranean and strong army forces in Africa.
If I'm not mistaken, recently I ordered you to develop a plan for eliminating the British influence over Europe and Africa.
I have some ideas in that regard, if you would like to hear them out.
General Rommel is facing serious difficulties in Africa. I must admit, I did not expect that. I would like you to go to Tobruk and help him in planning our next offensive. If you know how to finish off those pesky Brits, then do it.
Yes, sir. I will travel to Tobruk at once.
I saw that the car is awaiting you outside. Do not worry, our talk would not require much time.
Forget about the car. Did you manage to get the information I asked you for?
Unfortunately not, Halder. My people keep working on finding any traces of the conspiracy in your headquarters, but we have yet to find a single officer tied to the resistance.
What about my guest?
I can say with certainty that he has ties with the Führer's inner circle.
I see. Thank you for the information, Canaris.
There's one more thing you should keep in mind, Halder. Those above listen to your phone with great interest. I suggest you be very careful, Halder. It is likely they want to frame you.
As soon as the British take the bait and come into our ambush, we will counterattack.
Our success depends on the coordination of our actions. The Luftwaffe can ensure our breaking through their defenses.
It is good you have arrived, Halder. We devised an excellent plan together. Tobruk will soon be ours.
We have to finish the operation soon. I have heard that you have food and water shortages.
We took a lot of prisoners, so we have to provide extra food and water to supply them. I even had to cut our soldiers and officers' daily rations. Yet can a true officer of the Wehrmacht act differently? I do not think so.
Here come the British tanks. The attack exactly as planned.
They are in for a big surprise.
Italian dumbbells are causing us only troubles. Their stupid army was supposed to help us. Instead, it is our combined army forces which have to save their sorry asses. First they get bogged down in Africa, and now they cannot capture some feeble Greeks. Pathetic. What a great ally we have. It seems that we have more harm than good from Mussolini.
Heavy artillery bombardment will quickly do away with Greeks' resolve and allow us to proceed with the Blitzkrieg.
Our Air Force and ground forces have demonstrated on numerous occasions that their well-coordinated actions do wonders. Our aerial bombardment will level Greece to the ground.
Not so fast, Goering. I forbid to use a single bomb or shell against Athens. I always wanted to see its architecture in person.
In this case, I will make sure to save valuable objects of art for our future museums.
Want to put more ancient vases in your backyard, huh? Well, do as you like. Just let me have a look first. Some of them might hold strong occult powers that must be put to the service of the Reich. The successful and swift occupation of Greece has once again proved the effectiveness of my Blitzkrieg strategy. Now we can focus on the preparations for the Operation Barbarossa.
My Führer, I think we have to resolve the issue of British troops in the Mediterranean first. To do so, we have to occupy Crete.
No, Rommel. This operation is not of the utmost strategic importance.
The operation in Greece has already delayed our preparations for the invasion of Russia. Unfortunately, the May 1st date is no longer feasible. We have to postpone it for at least a month.
There is no need to rush, Halder.
We have to rush. There is a risk of not finishing the Russian campaign before the winter. That is worrying.
I have no doubt that we will crush the Soviets before the winter comes. Our Blitzkrieg will smite them and throw what is left of them over the Urals to die of cold.
Your plans are grand as always, Herr Hitler. Yet are they not a little too ambitious? Do not forget that we have to face a strong adversary.
You question the superiority of Reich soldiers' fighting spirit way too often, Halder. This is weird behavior from my Army Chief of Staff.
The only thing I do too often is look at things rationally.
My Führer, I insist that Crete is of vital importance to us. It is one of the most important strategic locations in the Mediterranean. Control over it will allow us to have an important base for future offensive operations on this front.
Listen up, Rommel. We'll lack the time for Operation Barbarossa as it is. We cannot waste our time and resources on some tiny islets.
Calm down, Halder. We will use our paratroopers to capture Crete. With their help, the island will be ours before you even notice.
Yes, indeed. Our paratroopers have been extremely effective in both Norway and France. It should work. Fine, Rommel. I approve of the operation against Crete.
Herr Hitler, are you not afraid of risking the loss of the whole war for the sake of some minor tactical benefits from capturing Crete?
Due to my fearless actions as Commander-in-Chief and my strategic genius, we have conquered the whole of Europe. Poland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, France, England. And this is only the beginning! Our great army smites everything in its path! What is that tiny island to us? We will gulp it down at a moment's notice! I order you to begin the operation!
You should not take that personally, Franz. He is unjustifiably harsh at times. Now, Rommel, would you tell me how we are going to capture Crete?
My Führer, above all else, we have to capture Malta. It is the key region, without which we cannot finish the war in Africa successfully.
I hope my Chief of Staff will support this proposal.
I will not. We have too little time to finish the relocation of our troops to the eastern border. I consider it the sabotage of Operation Barbarossa. We wasted more than enough time taking Crete on Rommel's whim.
My whim? Halder, how can you not see that Malta is of great strategic importance to us? My Führer, are you ready to lose North Africa and allow the British to regain their control over the region? Were all my soldiers' struggles in Tobruk for nothing?
I cannot allow that. I am sure that my Luftwaffe, under the impeccable command of Reichsmarschall Goering, will be able to carry out a swift invasion of Malta.
My Führer, I doubt that. The island is crammed with British Air Force. Despite the success of our paratroopers in Crete, they suffered significant losses. Our losses in Malta would be much greater. I doubt we should even attempt this operation. I agree with Halder. We should not risk our preparations for war against Russia.
And our Navy has to deal a decisive blow to the Brits.
My Führer, unfortunately, we only have a few submarines near Malta, while the British Navy has a powerful fleet there.
Then I will make the Italians support us with their Navy.
I do not think it prudent to hope for support from Italy, in view of their previous military successes. We must be able to accomplish everything with our own troops.
No! This time our allies will have to help us. They must make up for their previous failures. With the help of the Italian fleet, we will establish total control over the Mediterranean region and throw the Brits out of there. Get to work!
Malta will be taken, my Führer.
I advise you all to take an example from General Rommel. Out of everyone present, he is the only one without any doubts about our imminent victory. This is what true loyalty to the Führer means.
I totally understand that the last operations in the Mediterranean have interfered with your plans. Yet if we were not to occupy Crete and Malta, all our efforts in Africa would have been in vain. In the end, we would have lost much more.
The islands were taken fast, and for that I am grateful to you. Unfortunately, that does not alleviate the risk of not finishing the Operation Barbarossa in due time. Thus, Rommel, I have a personal request.
I'm all ears, General.
On the Eastern Front, we will need every talented officer, including yourself. Unfortunately, my request for your transfer was rejected by Hitler. Thus, I want you to ask him for it personally.
I'm ready to be transferred to the Eastern Front. It is a good chance to repay you for all the support. I will ask for the transfer immediately.
I hope the Fuhrer will show some wisdom and approve it.
I have signed Directive 21. We attack the Soviet Union on the 22nd of June.
We have overwhelmed the Red Army and in 2 weeks advanced over 500 kilometers deep into the Soviet territory. If we continue such a swift offensive, we will likely finish the war before the winter comes.
All of us have to say thank you to our Fuhrer for his unparalleled strategic mind.
Indeed, my Blitzkrieg strategy has worked out brilliantly. There can no longer be any doubts about our success. In my opinion, the outcome of this war is already clear.
I think it is a premature assumption. We cannot allow the Red Army to get its bearing and start retaliation. Under no circumstances should we lower the tempo of our armored forces' advance.
Guderian, let me assure you, we will adhere to the Barbarossa plan. Of course, our armored troops will remain on the edge of our attack and play a key role in it.
My Führer, are you sure that the hospitable reception of Russian technical experts on our military production lines I witnessed last year was a wise move? They have much heavier tanks, which gave us all sorts of trouble. Who knows what else they could come up with using our technology?
Don't fret, Guderian. Even the most advanced technologies of the Reich, in the hands of the Russian barbarians, are practically useless and certainly cannot stop our advance.
We must concentrate all our attention on only the key objective, the city of Moscow. The Army Group Center is advancing to the city swiftly.
Halder, you are correct. However, do not forget that our immediate priority is to take Leningrad. We have to destroy the Baltic Fleet and its air force. The Russians must be taught a very harsh lesson for their brazen folly of bombing Berlin. How dare they bomb our capital?
Herr Führer, our naval forces will do everything possible to assist our ground and air forces against the enemy fleet. Acting together, we will deprive the Russian Navy of its major naval base.
I would much have preferred that the Russian Navy cease to exist altogether.
I have a suggestion, Herr Führer. Instead of taking Leningrad, we could send some of the forces of the Army Group North to support the Army Group Center in its vital operation against Moscow.
The Army Group Center can manage the occupation of Moscow on its own. It is better to take Leningrad and establish additional supply routes through the Baltic Sea.
I think the support of the Army Group North could be crucial for capturing Moscow before the winter comes, Herr Hitler.
Guderian, I saw the reports that your troops have slowed down in their advance on Moscow. What is going on there?
Herr Führer, unfortunately our advance deeper into the Soviet territory is hindered by a large number of new heavy tank models in the enemy ranks.
Are you implying that their tanks are better than ours?
I am not implying. I am saying it plainly. The program of modernization of our tanks should be enhanced and sped up. New tank models must answer the threat posed by the powerful Russian tanks and be superior to them.
Halder, you are to develop and execute a new plan for storming Leningrad in the shortest time possible. You are dismissed. Guderian, please stay. The Fuhrer and our plenipotentiary of the 4-year plan are both ready to hear your suggestions on the new tanks.
I will be right back in just 5 minutes. Franz, please wait for me.
Guderian, is it true that the Russians have come up with some sort of invincible tank?
Franz, can I ask you for a friendly favor?
Sure, ask away.
During the storming of Leningrad, it should be required for you to send a trustworthy group of men to evacuate the Amber Room and other valuable museum masterpieces.
Our logistics are already complicated as it is. I bet you would like to have the entire Hermitage sent to your residence.
No, nothing of that sort. Only the hand-picked masterpieces of the best European painters. The Russian so-called art is of little interest to me.
Is it that important to you?
Halder, it is important for the whole Reich. The art will be exhibited in the new Führer Museum in Linz. When it is finished, that is. Until then, I will be responsible for its safekeeping.
You will have it, Reichsmarschall. I will issue the necessary orders.
Thank you, Halder. My secretary will provide you with a number of folders with the catalogs of art I require.
What the hell is going on here? Put down your weapons at once! Sturmscharführer, explain yourself!
Nothing special. We carry out the death sentence.
I forbid your men to murder anyone. I will not allow the SS units to run rampant killing civilians.
Are you sure you have the authority to forbid us anything, General? SS soldiers answer only to our immediate superiors.
As you were, Sturmscharführer. If your men will fire, then my soldiers will have to take action as well. Have no doubt.
You can be in a lot of trouble due to your interference. We act upon the orders from our High Command in Berlin.
I have never heard of such orders. Our High Command would have never sanctioned such despicable actions. I am sure, as soon as Führer learns of these atrocities, he will immediately arrest all those involved. If it were up to me, I would have already court-martialed you for war crimes.
Your confidence may bring you ill fortune, General.
My Führer, and last but not least, I would like to inform you about the criminal activity of our SS troops.
Erwin, I know you have been in charge of our troops in Africa, and now the war demanded your presence in Russia. Yet you have started to think an awful lot about yourself, Rommel. It is otherwise inexplicable how a fine officer such as you could have violated discipline on the front lines. I cannot allow such disregard for subordination.
My Führer, as an officer and a man of honor, I could not allow...
SS troops were totally justified in their actions. They followed the directives issued by their Reichsführer SS Himmler himself. I personally sanctioned these actions.
But how... My Führer, how could you cover up for such insidious crimes?
We are building the Third Reich, Rommel. Our task is to create a bright future for the whole German nation. We cannot endanger our sacred mission by showing pity to our enemies. For the sake of our great goal, I am ready to sacrifice millions. This will be a noble sacrifice, as it is preordained by the higher powers. Anyone standing in my path will suffer just punishment.
Herr Hitler, I have heard some rumors about the SS actions on the front lines. I must admit I refused to believe these scary stories for quite a while, thinking it was a lie. Yet your words, they are breaking my heart. This is not the Third Reich I have imagined.
Silence, Rommel! I will not tolerate people questioning our only true path around me. Are you going to defy the Reich and its Führer? If you ever disobey my direct order again, you will be court-martialed and executed. Now get out of my sight!
The Army Group Center swiftly advances towards Moscow. The plan of attack is ready. This is the key objective of the whole Barbarossa operation.
No, Halder. I have changed my mind. We will do it differently. First, we will take over Ukraine and its Donetsk coal basin, and only then proceed with taking Moscow.
It will further delay the operation and increase the risk of winter war dramatically. Your decision is against all possible rules of military strategy. It is inconceivable.
You are a great military strategist, Halder. Yet you know nothing of economics. We have to get the resources, factories, and food supplies from Ukraine for the needs of the whole Reich. I am the only person tasked with both military strategy and statecraft. Guderian, I order your panzer troops to turn in the direction of Kiev and support its occupation.
Herr Führer, it is impossible. We would have to turn back and move towards Germany across territories we fought so hard to break through. Our soldiers might think that we go home and the war is over.
This is an order! The orders of Commander-in-Chief are not to be questioned. The soldiers may think whatever they want, preferably not think at all.
Outstanding logic and military strategy by our Führer. Now we lose the tempo, our only trump card against the Bolsheviks. Our tanks are worn out as it is, and now they have to run back and forth, losing the last of their resources.
The Führer's orders are quite inadequate lately.
I have to agree. I always considered him but a corporal, usurping the high standing he cannot live up to.
By issuing such contradictory orders, our Führer endangers the whole operation. He will be to blame for our losses.
This is by far the worst and most short-sighted order of our great Commander-in-Chief. Unfortunately, we have to follow it. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts?
Citizens of free Germany, we're pleased to announce that one more big Soviet city has now been freed from the Bolshevik suppression by our indomitable troops. Our gallant soldiers have captured Kiev, the most ancient of the Soviet cities.
Soon, all Soviet territories will be freed from the communist-induced nightmare. All the while, the Third Reich is expanded across these vast new lands. Our ultimate triumph is not far off. Glory to the Reich!
So what is your answer to our proposal? The people in the resistance have great hopes for you.
You know, Oberst, if you were to come to me a year ago, I would have brought you to the Gestapo myself.
It seems I have good timing.
Indeed, things have changed. I have come to know a lot of horrible facts lately. It pains me to watch such inhumane crimes go unpunished, and even supported by the government. I tried to protest, but I cannot fight it alone. These crimes are now an integral part of the regime. It seems Germany is led by a madman, thinking himself to be a messiah.
So, what was his answer?
He agreed, Reichsmarschall Goering.
Excellent. Rommel has taken our bait. Now we can use him blindly to our advantage. Everything is going even better than I expected.
The Führer has finally given the order to begin Operation Typhoon, aimed at capturing Moscow.
I do not think that we have to invent anything new. We have to attack swiftly with our tank forces to break through their defense perimeters.
I agree with you, Guderian. 3 tank armies will attack and destroy the concentration of the enemy troops near Bryansk and Vyazma. Then they will advance swiftly to reach Moscow both from the north and the south.
This is a good plan. Simple, efficient, and reliable as everything made in Germany.
You do not agree with us, Manstein?
I think the Army has to occupy solid defensive positions and wait out the winter frost which is about to come. Our Army cannot fight effectively in such weather.
Come on, Eric. We are so close. We have to get a decisive victory.
Indeed, now is not the time to stop our advance. There's no going back.
Taking Moscow is a tough task as it is. Conducting the operation on the eve of winter further complicates it.
We could use our air force to break the enemy's will to fight by intensive city bombardment. I will talk to Goering.
Граждане, воздушная тревога. Говорит штаб гражданской обороны. Воздушная тревога. Воздушная тревога. Воздушная тревога.
Defeating the enemy troops at Moscow resulted in over 1 million captured enemy soldiers and officers.
It is a huge number. The Reich is not going to feed all these hungry mouths. I order you to retain 100,000 of the healthiest and most capable ones. The rest should be eliminated.
Herr Führer, this is madness. It is completely beyond my comprehension of humane warfare. The Wehrmacht will not participate in such vile crimes. I cannot order my men to murder the prisoners of war.
You are as unbelievably dumb as your friend Rommel. It seems that only my loyal SS troops are ready to carry out my orders without lecturing me on the questions of morality. I will talk to Himmler.
I'm very unhappy about the outsiders trying to pry into my organization. Honestly, I cannot fully trust any of my men anymore. Many of them have become double agents. I have a rising suspicion that Goering is up to something. Otherwise, why would he try to recruit and lure half of Abur to his side?
I can no longer understand the actions of our Fuhrer. He is making all his decisions without counseling with his most trusted advisors.
Unfortunately, Herr Goering, the Fuhrer wants all of his entourage to follow him blindly and abide by his every word. He does not tolerate any other points of view.
Because of our military commander's strategic genius, we are gaining victory after victory. Yet Hitler is still angry at us. Sooner or later, he risks losing the support of even the most loyal men. It can cost us a victory in this war.
Such is his character. He's too harsh sometimes. I try to avoid taking his remarks personally.
Nonetheless, his words are very unjustified at times. I would not have acted like that if I were in his position. Alder, I take it you are aware of my status as the most likely of the Fuhrer's successors.
Well, it is only logical. You're his second in command.
Should anything happen to the Fuhrer, I will have to lead our country. I'm sure in such a case I would be able to avoid many of his mistakes.
Herr Goering, why did you start this conversation? Do you have any information about a threat to the Fuhrer's life?
We're waging war, Halder. We have to provide for all possible risks. Our beloved Fuhrer is the #1 target for our numerous enemies. He's permanently in grave peril.
The death of the Fuhrer would be a huge blow for the Reich.
I dread to imagine that tragedy.
Crushing defeat of the Red Army at Moscow. It did not bring about the full collapse of the Soviet Union. Stalin and his clique keep giving criminal orders from their evacuated Stavka. Hulda, give me a status report.
The Red Army started an offensive at Kharkiv, hoping to establish a bridgehead.
It is your personal failure, Hulda. You and all of your officers are useless idiots. You all have sabotaged my ingenious Blitzkrieg plan.
My Fuhrer, with all due respect, you cannot throw these accusations at us without solid proof.
Goering, you should not defend them. If only you had followed my orders to the letter, the war would already have been over. Instead, you cannot handle these pathetic Russian troops. You seem to be too impotent to finish them off once and for all. I order the army to start a counter-offensive. This is your last chance to exonerate yourselves. If Kharkov will fall, you will all be court-martialed. We have to take Stalingrad and gain control over the Volga River as soon as possible. This is our last struggle, which we must undertake without doubt or hesitation.
My Fuhrer, our army is advancing on Stalingrad too fast. Its flanks are extremely vulnerable. It makes the threat of encirclement very real.
I think you overestimate the threat, Manstein. I do not think the enemy has enough forces for a major offensive in that region. Our forces are sufficient.
This is a mistake, Halder. Don't you understand? The operation has to be postponed until we can level the front and establish a solid defense of our flanks. The encirclement of our troops will result in imminent defeat.
Halder, I order you as Chief of Staff to make the final decision.
Herr Hitler, our troops are just sufficient for the operation. I think we can overcome what is left of the demoralized Soviet army.
If you think that the Soviet troops are no longer capable of serious resistance, then attacking with your existing forces is a waste of resources. Your advanced troops will continue the offensive, while your reserves, under the command of Manstein, will change their course and attack the Caucasus. We need its oil production.
My Führer, I protest. I am sure that it is criminal to further weaken the troops attacking Stalingrad. They are not very numerous as they are.
No, Manstein! Your task is to capture the oil production in the Caucasus. Halder will do great, even without your support and troops.
Manstein, before we enter, I must tell you that if it was not for your disobeying Hitler's order, the battle for Stalingrad would have ended tragically. I will never forget your heroic act.
Manstein! How could you have so blatantly disobeyed my order? This is vile treachery! You must be executed for it!
Herr Führer, it was my order to turn our troops away from the Caucasus and use them in Stalingrad offensive. Moreover, I threatened Manstein to relieve him of command if he does not carry out this order.
Halder! If I am not mistaken, you were the one to say the Soviet troops could not put up any solid resistance.
Unfortunately, my assumptions turned out to be incorrect. The Soviet command had more fresh troops at their disposal.
Halder, you made a dire strategic blunder. The success of the whole operation was threatened by your inexplicable decisions. Then, trying to salvage the situation, you started issuing the orders you lacked the authority for. It seems you have imagined yourself a Führer!
My so-called blunders led to us taking Stalingrad. I consider my actions perfectly justified in that situation.
Get out of my sight! You are hereby removed from the command! It seems I require a new Chief of Staff.
Everyone is talking about the Hitler bellowing, which could be heard across the whole of Berlin. I bet you had to work hard to make the Führer so angry.
What is going to happen to me, Canaris?
Let me put it this way, Halder. You are under suspicion. It seems that the loss of command is only the beginning.
You're all under arrest, accused of high treason. Hand over your service weapons.
And the head of this conspiracy is Halder. He's recruiting officers for a rebellion. He's blinded by his thirst for power. He must be arrested at once.
My Führer, where did you get these ideas? Is there any proof of this vile conspiracy?
These obnoxious officerlings are all the same. Traitors, daydreaming about overthrowing their Führer.
Listen to me, Adolf. After the appointment of Halder as the Army Chief of Staff, I made a test for him to check his loyalty to the Führer. He passed it brilliantly. There is no need to doubt his honesty.
He is too bull-headed and independent to my liking. He opposes me all the time. I'm tired of it.
Our army got a number of great victories owing to his talent. I do not think it's wise to refuse using such a brilliant strategist.
Well, I will listen to you, Hermann. I will employ him for one last operation. Just because I cannot find a suitable replacement for him at the moment. Halder, I regret to inform you that you will remain in the Chief of Staff position. Reichsmarshal Goering personally vouched for you. I order you to start the preparations for the attack on Kursk.
I need the help of my top commanders. I ask you to release Manstein, Guderian, and Rommel from captivity.
They were arrested under very serious accusations. Those of high treason. The investigation is ongoing.
These officers are men of honor. I'm sure the accusations are false. We cannot win the war if we keep our best commanders imprisoned.
Müller has telephoned me this morning. The Gestapo has not found any proof of Manstein and Guderian's involvement, yet. So I will release these two. However, Rommel is still under suspicion.
Rommel is also crucial for the next operation planning.
Halder, I will not bother bargaining with you. Go back to your headquarters and get down to work. If you fail this operation, or I get the slightest doubt of your loyalty, I will order you and your buddies to be executed.
My Führer, I have an important matter to discuss.
What do you want? I'm very busy right now.
I cannot stop thinking about the horrible rumor that there will be an assassination attempt.
Allow me to alleviate your fears. All members of the conspiracy are under arrest.
What if not everyone was caught? Imagine if the assassination happens. The Reich may fall due to a power crisis. All your hard work will be null, only because you have not signed a single document about your successor.
To offer me, the Fuhrer of the Sacred Third Reich, to write a political will? As if I can be afraid of something.
This is only a precaution. We cannot risk all of your great achievements, Adolf. You just have to sign a piece of paper to put all of your loyal servants' hearts at ease.
Relax, Hermann. The talk about my successor is pointless. I plan to rule the Sacred Third Reich for many years to come. The Fuhrer is protected by higher powers, and any attempts to assassinate him are destined to fail.
In this case, there is truly nothing to worry about. Let the gods keep you safe, Adolf.
Rommel, we know that you're part of the conspiracy planning to assassinate our Führer. Tell us what you know. Otherwise, it might end very badly. Do not force us to hurt you.
I changed my mind about your dismissal. You are to develop a plan of invasion of the United States.
But our military resources are totally exhausted. Herr Führer, we cannot start yet another campaign straight away.
I've seen a mystical revelation, Hulda. I now know that the higher powers want the Third Reich to conquer all the world, including the United States. I was destined to become the Führer of the German people by the grace of the gods. With their divine help, the whole world will kneel before me. If you or anyone else is going to stand in the way of my great mission, you will be executed for high treason. Remember that, Hulda. No one will escape just punishment. Neither you nor Europe. Not even the great United States. Nothing can withstand my almighty and indomitable onslaught. The Third Reich and the great German nation will put the entire world on its knees.
Hitler asked me to open a new war against the United States, across the ocean. And he's dead serious about it.
I'm afraid my worst suspicions have come true, Holder. I have long suspected our Führer had serious health problems. It seems that his mental problems have deteriorated greatly, and he has lost all control over his own actions.
Truth be told, in the current situation, I cannot imagine anyone seriously considering the invasion of the United States and planning any landing operation.
Nonsense! What crazy bullshit! We have not signed a peace agreement with the British yet, and the war in Africa is ongoing. Indeed, only a madman can think about a war with the United States.
Our resources are spread dangerously thin, and all possibilities of reinforcement are exhausted. However, the Führer refuses to see the truth. He's too far away from the real world with his crazy fantasies.
I believe Hitler in his current state can lead Germany to its complete downfall. We cannot allow it. The best possible decision for Germany and its people would be to remove him from power. Will the Wehrmacht support me as his successor?
There are few conditions. First, the transition of power should be peaceful. The Führer should not get hurt or killed. He must be arrested and judged by a military tribunal.
Absolutely. No one is going to hurt him.
Secondly, Rommel and all the other officers imprisoned by the Gestapo for no good reason must be set free immediately.
Agreed. I am convinced that all allegations were falsified by the Führer's order.
Thirdly, Herr Göring, give me your word as a German officer that you will cancel any further military plans and will put all of your efforts in negotiating peace with the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviets.
I assure you, Halter, that I am planning to do exactly as you have just said. Enough with this war. It has been long enough. Now is the time for peace.
In that case, then, you can be sure of the Army support, Herr Göring.
Deputies, men of the German Reichstag, as the new Führer of the Third Reich, I can assure you that I will continue the cause of our great Führer Adolf Hitler. I will not change our course and will redouble our efforts to make Germany truly great.
Well, I think these faces look familiar.
Indeed. Long time no see.
You're accused of the Führer's assassination. Hand over your service weapons. Herr Führer, would you care to explain to me why you did not keep your word? We had an agreement.
What agreement are you talking about, Halder?
You have promised me to set Rommel free, but instead Manstein and Guderian were arrested again by Gestapo. What should I think? Why did you give that order?
Trust me, I have no power over that organization. The Gestapo is actively investigating Hitler's assassination. They can even check the Fuhrer himself if they deem it necessary.
We have an extremely important battle for Britain, and I am left without my most talented and trusted officers. Please find a way to resolve the situation.
The times of Hitler are over. I think it is improper to intervene into the organizational management of the Gestapo. They will be set free if the investigation shows them to be innocent.
You're perfectly aware that they are innocent. Why there should be these bureaucratic delays?
I cannot allow myself even a thought that these fine officers could be mixed up in this vile act. Yet there is a set procedure of establishing one's innocence. I am sure they will pass it without any problems, and will be set free very soon. Do not worry about this trivia. You really should concentrate on the planning for this upcoming battle.
There's an extremely difficult task in front of us. I need their help right now. Otherwise, you're putting us all at a totally unnecessary risk.
I have full confidence in your strategic genius. You can handle it even by yourself. You can go now, Halder. I have a lot of state matters of great importance to attend to. Defeated. The Americans are cowardly, running away from the British Islands back to their continent, fearing our military might. I can tell you one thing. We are not going to stop. The German soldiers will soon set foot on American soil. The Third Reich will expand across North and South America, and then the entire globe. We will finish the deed started by our great Führer, Adolf Hitler.
Göring is not the best candidate for the head of state. Yet I thought him to be better than Hitler, as he spoke of peace. Unfortunately, I was mistaken.
Göring does not want peace. He's a clear proponent of terror. My men have found undeniable proof that Göring was at the head of the resistance. He ordered the assassination of the Führer.
Göring is not just a hypocritical politician. He's a criminal.
It seems our new Führer is no better than his predecessor. I suspect he used the whole Wehrmacht and you personally to his own ends. He needed you only to get to power.
I felt that he was not to be trusted. But I hoped he still had some decency and honor left in him.
Franz, when you return to Berlin, you will immediately be arrested. They are preparing a court, which will judge you, Manstein, Rommel, and Guderian on accusations of organizing the assassination of Hitler. Then you will all be publicly executed.
This despicable scoundrel cannot be allowed to rule our great land.
Dark times are coming for our country. Germany must be governed only by people of honor. Those who put the well-being of the German people above all else. The time has come for the army to intervene.
Politics is not what a true officer should be preoccupied with. My sacred duty is to serve Germany and its people.
The only person who can put Germany in order in this time of peril is you, Halder. The Army and Navy will support you. Your authority is undisputed. How can we allow a greedy and power-crazed wannabe Führer to rule our country? I think you must take power and control into your own hands.
Well, we have beaten our enemies in Europe. Now we have to defeat our last enemy in the very heart of Germany. The situation forces me to make this difficult decision, Canaris. Assemble all the combat-ready troops and occupy Berlin.
Herr Goering, the insurgents' forces are closing in on the Reichs-Chancellery. I beg you to evacuate before it is too late.
I have to deal with some unfinished business in Berlin first. Get me a column of heavy trucks and an escort convoy. There are antique vases. You do not dare put them at the bottom. Here comes gold and gems. It is essential that we load them. Be careful with those boxes. There are Greek statues inside.
Deputies, men of the German Reichstag, as interim president of the new German Republic, I hereby decree that instead of the old criminal regime, we will build a new and just country. There will be no prosecution based on political or national differences. There will be democratic elections and all power will not be concentrated in one hand. The German Republic will sign a peace agreement with the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union, and will even consider giving back some of our territories on favorable terms for Germany. I ask every German to work hard for the happiness and prosperity of our nation.